Close your eyes. Picture in your mind's eye a rebel. There are lots of options for who you might imagine. Someone like James Dean on a motorcycle with a leather jacket. Someone fighting against a corrupt government in the Middle East, or Les Miserables style in Paris. You might picture an artist so into her craft that she becomes a recluse and rarely eats or sees the light of day. You might picture a random teenager, at least constantly texting and snapping without wanting to interact with grown-ups or younger siblings, at the least. Since you're here, you're likely to be picturing an entrepreneur. So, someone like Steve Jobs or Ashton Kutcher. So just take a minute. Do you have that rebel pictured in your head? Now, whatever you chose to imagine as your rebel of choice, I can pretty much guarantee you won't imagine one thing. Open your eyes. Me. You probably were not imagining me. I fully admit, from outward appearances, I'm not a rebel. I dress pretty plainly, my hair's a natural color. I live a relatively standard life. The same goes for Brandon, my husband. If you saw us walking together down the street, you wouldn't expect us to be rebels to any extent. We appear to be ordinary, everyday people, and we are. In reality, Brandon is and always has been a little bit more of a rebel than me. Just ask him about jumping over canals and almost getting eaten by alligators in New Orleans when he should have been in school. He thinks I follow the rules too much. I never missed a day at school unless I was actually sick. Follow the rules. He's also had multiple piercings in the past, and he has twice the number of tattoos as me. So if there's a rebel between us, it's him. But he's still a pretty ordinary, everyday person. Yet, Brandon and I are far from the most, rebellious entrepreneurs. We're, by far not the most rebellious. We're in the midst of a series about the characteristics of entrepreneurs. So a little bit of background on this series. I'm not going to give you any typical characteristics, and this isn't a listicle type post. I'm giving you the grit, the real story. So you might have heard of rebellious entrepreneurs before, but this is going to be definitely a different take on it. You see, probably my favorite thing about being an entrepreneur and my entrepreneurial journey is the personal development that I've experienced. I've grown so much as a person, and I'm a way better person now than I was a decade ago when we started working to build our own business. And this series is going to shed some light on the characteristics that have grown the most in me over the last 9 years. And I've also noticed them in other entrepreneurs who have stuck with it, for at least 5 years. And they've seen the same, this personal development come out too. So if you're an aspiring entrepreneur and these characteristics don't describe you, that's totally fine. Just be aware that these most likely will be developed as they are demanded of you throughout your own entrepreneurial journey. Especially if you're a mission-driven entrepreneur and you're putting your heart and your soul into your business, chances are that you will see tons of personal growth and development as you build your business and accomplish your mission. So rebellious entrepreneurship. Let's dig into this. This rebellious characteristic is one that's grown a lot in me. I've embraced rebellion much more since becoming an entrepreneur, but it might not be the sort of rebellion you might think of initially. Like I said before, I'm a plain Jane in so many ways. I totally admit that. But what does make me a rebel? How does, that help me as an entrepreneur to be more rebellious? I've come to understand that rebellion ultimately boils down to one important thing: taking a stand for what you believe in. Taking a stand for what you believe in. That means speaking up for yourself, advocating for your values, and even saying no, because you're making yourself a priority. When you're a rebel, you know what you believe and why. And then you stand up for your beliefs no matter what. As social entrepreneurs, being rebellious has so much value because we have this all-important mission that we are trying to accomplish within our business. And we believe in it and we stand up for it day after day after day. It's part of our DNA. as social entrepreneurs or mission-driven entrepreneurs. And this mission becomes our personal driving force and that driving force within our business. When we're rebels, we don't let anything come in the way of accomplishing our mission. So taking a stand for what you believe in provides so much value in your business because it brings greater authenticity to everything you do, including your sales and marketing. Yes, being a rebel will repel some people who disagree with you, and they're not going to buy from you or, give you money as a stake, as an investor or, what have you. That's okay. You probably don't want to work with them anyway. Most importantly, when you stand up for what you believe in, you'll attract people who will stand alongside you. More on that in the third practical tactic that I'm going to get into today, which is what we're going to talk about, becoming a rebellious entrepreneur. I've got 3 practical tactics for how to become a more rebellious entrepreneur in ways that serve your business, its mission, your relationships, and yourself. So the first tactic is to get super clear on what hill or hills you're willing to die on. If you try to stand for everything, you won't stand for anything. Decide what fights you're willing to fight to the bitter end. Think of the rebel who's fighting against an unjust government. And if you have a hard time, picturing that person, watch or read Les Miserables for some inspiration on what this can look like in a very artistic, awesome way. For me, shared respect and dignity is a huge hill that I'm willing to die on. I go out of my way to confront disrespect and discrimination when I see it happen in front of me. I'm willing to, put myself at risk when I see those things happen. 2 really, really small examples. I don't want to toot my own horn or say, I've got this perfected, but this can look like really small actions. Like one time an employee made a joke about slapping his girlfriend when he got home. He's like, I'm going to go home and slap her around. I told him that was not okay. And I got on him right away. I was like, that kind of thing was not even appropriate to even joke about. And I've never heard him make that kind of joke again. He apologized, he understood where I was coming from, and the situation was resolved. Another time, I had this key partner, and by key partner, I mean key partner, really serious, and that, a very good ally for our business, and she treated me with disrespect because she's 25 years older than me. And at first, I was really emotional, but I let my emotions cool down, requested, a little later to chat, soon, talk to a mentor in between the interaction and when I requested to chat with her. And when we sat down, I shared with her that I felt like she was being ageist, and, we were able to work through it, and I never sensed that disrespect with me or with, I see her interact with younger people all the time on a regular basis, and I've never seen that happen again. But she was a key partner and an ally for us, and I was risking that relationship by by confronting that situation. And actually on both of these those occasions, I was willing to risk that relationship and a whole lot more, the things that they had power over to stand up for what I believed in. So what about you? What are you willing to stand up for, even if it puts everything else at risk? You don't want to point out everything everyone does that could potentially be controversial. Often that's just going to make you a jerk. But what do you believe in so much that you're willing to die for it? Or how can you stand up for that, or, that hill you're willing to die on, that thing, no matter what? How can you make that stance clear within your business with all of your stakeholders? And so this kind of ties in really well with my second tactic, which I used in both of the occasions that I mentioned earlier. This is the idea of developing spoonful of sugar tactics for confrontation. Now, Mary Poppins is one of my favorite movies, and she's actually a great example of an unexpected rebel. She's kind, but she's confrontational when needed. If you haven't watched Mary Poppins maybe since you were a kid, go back and watch as an adult, and you'll just see how sly she is, how much of a rebel she is. She doesn't conform to anyone's expectations. Her tactic is that she uses a spoonful of sugar, not just when she's giving cough syrup to the kiddos, but when she's confronting the errors of the adults' ways as well, including her best friend, Bert, I think is his name. But just like Mary Poppins, we don't have to be sour or distasteful when we speak up for ourselves and for our values. One of my favorite ways of adding sugar to confrontation is to find the good in the situation or in the person and affirm that first before bringing up the confrontational item. If someone is disrespectful by always interrupting, you say, it's helpful to say, I look forward to hearing what you have to say, but I'd like to finish my thought first. In fact, I feel disrespected when you interrupt me. This isn't anything new. You might have heard this kind of advice before, just maybe framing in a different way, thinking about how you could apply it to your business. Because this, and actually a big way that this might need to be applied in your business is using the spoonful of sugar. It becomes a really powerful tool when you're trying to say no. First, like you express gratitude and say, thanks for the opportunity, really appreciate it, I feel honored. But before saying, but I have to decline. And it makes it a whole lot easier for that no, for it to be swallowed, both for you and for the person that you're declining. It makes it easier to say no, and it makes it easier for them to hear no. So that's my second tactic. The third tactic is to build your tribe. As a rebellious entrepreneur, not everyone is going to agree with you all the time. Surprise, surprise, you know this. Some people will love you and some people will hate you. And the more rebellious you are, the less people in the middle that will neither love nor hate you. Get comfortable with having haters. Focus on building a community with the lovers. As a group, you share some great common beliefs and values. Getting to know one another better will allow you to amplify your collective voice as you become more and more tight-knit. Rebels are stereotypically lone wolves, but the best examples of rebels, they become leaders within a community of people who change the world. In this case, imagine rebels like Martin Luther King Jr. and Gandhi and Mother Teresa and so many more rebels who have defied social expectations. They've stood up for what they believe in, they've rebelled, and they've built a community of people to go along with their rebellion. They didn't try to just do it on their own. And they stood for what they believed in together. So to join our tribe of rebellious entrepreneurs who believe that we can make money and make an impact together, I've got a link below this video that you can click to join that tribe. Hear from us every week, start to get to know the other people in this tribe. Also would love for you to comment below this video how you are being a rebellious entrepreneur and standing up for what you believe in. I will talk to you again next week. In the meantime, keep overflowing. Peace.